So I'm just going to introduce the video, guys. So this is Adam. He is part of, you can pause it for a second. He is part of the, you can press space to pause it, by the way. He's part of the group that have dubbed themselves Charlie's Charmanders. And he sent me a very lovely email. And out of all the emails, I think I've probably had like 50 people asking to join this group. His was the only one that stuck out. I don't know if you know this already, Adam. And Helena was needing a poker because the other one kind of bailed and left her in a bloodbath. And now we're here. And I haven't managed to have a one-on-one session with Adam because I've been doing a lot of outside poker stuff. But Helena has been coaching him. He's on 2NL. Helena is up to, I think, 15L still?
Yeah.
Sick! Which is really, really insane progress. And I do not know anything about Adam's game, so we're just going to jump in. And people watching, you can watch it as though I'm teaching you, because I'm teaching from scratch, and this is how I would kind of feel out someone's thought process, and you'll see how I adjust it from there. Okay, here we go. So hopefully you already have your opening ranges from Helena, so we're not going to talk too much about openings, hopefully. Okay, here we go. And I'll tell you to pause if you need to pause, so get that space bar ready. You're a slow checker. Alright, nothing to see here. I think it's
something I told him to do. Taught him that.
Oh my god. It's a tough one. Alright, so pause for a second. It's not the most interesting spot, but what were your thoughts? Okay, so obviously you don't want to be c-betting the flop. It just annihilates the other person's range, and you don't have any cards that you can hit on the turn apart from a deuce that can improve your hand. What are your thoughts on betting or checking the turn?
I think I'm in the same position on the turn a lot that I was on the flop. I think it's I feel it's bricky, relative to the board texture, and I don't think I can. When the turn card comes, I don't think I can get hands worse than my own to call me. I think anything that calls me when I bet there is beating me, and I think I've got showdown value if he does have air.
Cool. All right, Helena. I've seen like 5 minutes of footage ages ago from Adam, and I think judging by that answer, Helena's done a very good job. So that's a very that's super correct, and checking is definitely the best option here. You just want to try and take it to showdown. The argument for betting might be that you could protect against hands that have 6 outs against you. But in this specific example, most of those hands would have bet the turn themselves if they don't already beat you. So something like 7-8, 10-8, Queen X maybe, they will have at least a gut shot, or open-ender or double gut shot, whatever. So most of them would have bet themselves. So right now you're just kind of hoping that he has some kind of Queen X that's checked down or an Ace X that's checked down. All right.
Yeah.
Carry on. Good. Fold it. Fold it. Fold it. Good. There it is. You never want to make mistakes on camera, so it's fine that you took your time. Actually, can we pause it quick? So
yes.
So I remember you started your bankroll $100, and it went pretty badly at first. So you down swung, which is totally normal. Like as soon as you first start playing poker, you're not meant to be a winning player. Where are you in that at the moment? Do you feel like you're winning at these stakes now?
So I'm going to give a little bit of a backstory because it hasn't been going well the last 20,000 hands. So on that initial 100, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. I think there's an echo, but I'll just talk through it. Basically, on that initial 100, I looked at it today, and since I started my grind in late September, I downswung 60, and then I upswung this month, and I ran it up to 60. So I ran it up from like $20 to $60, but that's been halved in the last 20,000 hands. In the last 20,000 hands, I'm back down. My bankroll is about 35, I think, at the moment.
Okay, cool. So those are big enough swings that you know that when you were losing, you were playing bad, and when you were winning, you were probably playing quite good. We can discuss off this time later what the differences in your thought process were, but I imagine we'll be able to get you into a winning player again by the end of this. That's my prediction anyway. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Just as a pause there.
Yeah.
Just as a note, this is probably a fold, but you definitely can get away with check raising these kind of situations. Maybe more if it was like a king 8 deuce with a flush draw, or king 8 deuce rainbow, because once this guy checks, oh fuck, I can't click on it. 1 second. Once this guy checks, then this guy feels like he can get away with just stabbing at the pot, and people at the micro stakes do that a lot. You can actually get away with just pressing the 32% button, which will probably bring it to like 21, and then you get a really cheap bluff. Plus you have your aces now, plus you have the backdoor straight draw, so you can keep barreling on some stuff, and maybe your 10 is will give you the best hand as well. So in these kind of situations, don't be scared to look for bluffs that look like you don't have too much equity. Just try and look for situations where the person's going to be betting with a wide range of hands, and a lot of that range of hands will be folding. On the stream, I would do that over and over and over again. I just always say, like, we'd like to play tough here on this stream, but really it's just looking for situations where the micro stakes players understandably are going to be burning lots of money in comparison to good players.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be betting way too much. All right, carry on.
Okay.
By the way, to anyone watching, the audio to this is going to be pretty shitty, but it's free as fuck content, so no complaining. And shout out, if anyone does complain, it's a legitimate complaint, shout out to on the next video to anyone that shuts them down in the comments. You can get away with calling this, and you can get away with folding it, so you can't really make a mistake there. With the 9s, it looks like you definitely have to fold. There are just too many hands like that have a king X in it, or aces, or ace jack, which are probably going to be betting the turn anyway.
Okay.
With deuces here, just pause it.
Yeah.
So it's good that you isolate to around 6. In general, I'll probably lean more towards 8 as an isolation, because then you have more chance of getting heads up. But specifically with a hand like deuces, or maybe something like 5-6 suited, hands that you want to kind of take multi-way because they either hit really hard or they don't hit at all, it's actually, you're more incentivized to let as many people in the pot as you can. So actually min raising is a pretty cool trick here for anyone that's watching. Obviously it's very exploitable, because people, if they knew what you were doing, they would be able to know that you have specific hands, but 2NL players aren't going to exploit you. At least as long as not many of them watch this video. So just a little trick to keep in mind.
Cool.
That king 10 suited against a guy who has a reasonable 3-bet percentage is cool, by the way, because he's going to be. He had 9% 3-bet, which is like pretty high for 2NL. So he's going to be, but in general, it's good to fold. But against a 9% 3-bet, King 10 suited is a definite call there. Just
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, I feel I've been. I feel I've seen a lot more 3-bet betting pre-flop from blinds over the past few weeks, and I've been laying down a lot of hands like that. To be honest, it's probably psychological related to the downswing, but I've been laying down a lot. But that's fine.
okay. So pause here. So if anyone didn't watch the action when the guy opened under the gun, he bet 4 into 9 on the flop. Is that right? And then rake took some, I guess. And then he checked back the turn very quickly. So let's break down the kind of hands that he can have here, and I'll let you go. So when he opens under the gun, let's say he's got a normal under the gun range, suited ace-x, suited broadways, offsuit broadways, pocket pairs, and some suited connectors. So which hands do you think will be betting small on the flop?
Broadway hands with a king and a jack, not both. Straight draw, like maybe a 9-10 suited connector, maybe Broadway combos with one spade. Well, actually, Broadway combos with one spade, suited connectors, spade draws.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe some off pairs. Not many aces.
Yeah, I agree. It could be some ace 2 suited, maybe some like ace 10. Strong aces will probably bet bigger. They tend to on these kind of boards. Now let's skip ahead to the turn, and he quickly checks back the turn. Just name a few hands that you think he might have here.
Yeah, I feel like annoyingly, I still feel I agree with you. I still feel he has some weak aces, but like obviously a lot have been eliminated. Maybe some like king 10 off.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe like tens.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we would expect good players to check back something like king 10 or tens on the flop, but people on these stakes they're not really thinking. They're just like, oh, so I can pay and bet. So our ace here is pretty much ahead, like at least chopping. I doubt it's going to be behind because he checked back so quickly on the turn. We don't think he has too much air because he checked back quickly. Again, there isn't much air in his range anyway, but you'd at least expect something, I don't know, like 10-9 to consider betting the turn. So we can pretty comfortably, I'd say, put him on a weakish one pair. So now we need to choose a size that would be targeting weakish one pairs. What kind of bet size do you think we could bet now into 16 cents that something like king 10, king queen, queen jack might call?
3 cent.
I agree. Yeah. What did we do? What did we do real life?
I think I shoved. I definitely didn't bet 3 cents.
We bet 4. You fucking nailed it. Amazing. Feels good.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. And if anyone watching being like, it didn't work, it must be an idiot. We don't expect it to work 100% of the time. Not that I think that my YouTube audience thinks like that. Just the ones that write the comments. You know how brain destroying it is to read those comments? It's so brutal. Alright, so here with the fours, I'm just going to tell you what I would do on the flop. Pause it.
Alright.
I would probably end up betting the flop once this guy checks. And the reason for that is, if we get past this guy, if we get past Crystal, then this person has a very capped range and we're just ahead of it 100%. So if we ended up betting, say like, how much? Oh, it was 19 in the pot anyway. So if we end up betting something like 6 cents, and we get through this guy, or maybe 7 to fold out his jack 10s and whatnot, then we're heads up against this guy. If he does call, then we can just barrel the fuck off and just go huge and huge. That might not be the best strategy on 2-0, but just like that's probably what I would do. I'd probably bet small on the flop and then bet big on the turn, and if he still called me down, I'd probably give up on the river because some people are just too stationary. But again, against someone that has reggy looking stats so far, then it's probably an okay strat.
Okay.
Just the only reason I'm saying this so briefly is just to keep in mind. Oh my god, you're not going to fold like king 9, are you? Just to keep in mind that there are so many creative ways to play hands that when people are telling you like, oh yeah, you haven't played this correctly or you haven't done this, there's no correct. There's just so many awesome ways that you can try and think to play hands, and it doesn't matter if it works. It just matters that you're really reinforcing that thought process over and over and over again. Like, how do I do this? Maybe I do this. Maybe I bet small. Maybe I check call the turn even when I've got a sick hand because this makes sense and this makes sense. And if you're in that mindset where you're always mindful about all of the hands that you're playing, then your thought process will just grow and grow and grow and grow. And just so you know, like the downswing that you're on at the moment, it just doesn't matter. The beginning of your career is absolutely nothing. You're an extremely smart person from what I've gauged from you, and if you have a poker career ahead of you, you'll look back, which is very likely if you want to put all of your energy into it, you'll look back at these times and be like, I was so silly for caring about it. It's like $30 and now that's like half a big blind, you know? So just yeah, it's right, man. Just keep that in mind if you're ever feeling bad about the downswing. None of this matters. It's all just a shitty game. Well, I mean, it's the best game ever, but like it's just an unimportant game. And please don't fold that king 9. Please, 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 please.
I'm pretty sure I fold.
No. I mean, it's fine. King 8's a fold, but king 9 is just so beautiful.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, something ridiculous that I've told you to do is going to come up and try to do it.
How have you found coaching with Helena?
Have I found it?
No, not you.
How have you found it?
How's that? All seriousness.
Helena, what should I say so that you don't quit me?
Classic.
Great. No, obviously it's been completely indispensable and just such a great thing to have. So yeah,
it's been a dream come true, Adam.
all great. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, like.
Have you guys
super professional?
Have you guys run into any issues with different spots where you're both unsure, or there's like communication issues maybe?
Well, like, yeah, I don't know. I guess
you can be brutally honest.
I guess where we haven't been able to figure stuff out, we've kind of turned to the broader group. Like, there's some really great knowledge.
Oh my god! Wait! Go back. That Jack 7. Scroll back just a tiny bit. That Jack 7 suited is a call even if the other guy wasn't in, but when the other guy's in, you're getting way too good pot odds to fold Jack 7 suited.
Right.
Yeah, get in there. Get in the mix.
Okay.
Just so you know, a lot of your win rate will come from these small pots. Even if it feels like the big pots are what makes and breaks a session, you can just tell the difference between someone that's winning the small pots and someone that isn't by just like their graph is slowly, steadily up with ups and downs in the big pots, but just like slowly, steadily grinding. That'll be the main reason that you're not crushing at the moment, because you just haven't been taught how to dominate in the small pots yet.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Obviously, me teaching Helena this like 7 months ago was too long ago for her to remember. Yeah, so we're definitely going to be checking on the turn here, because when he checks back, it's just got too much ace-x in his range. If he does check back again, we might be able to bluff it. Because he might just have like a 5, but that's probably nice. So get it out of there. And get better at flops as well. My advice.
Yeah.
Helena, give him a crystal.
Can't too precious.
Oh no! Pause. No. Why did we choose not to see bet the ace queen 3?
I guess when he, like, I guess if I see bet and get called, right? I don't really know where I stand relative to his range. So if I see bet and get called, then he has obviously a lot of ace X in his range, some queen X in his range, some heart draws, some Broadway straight draws, and then some wheel straight draws. Maybe not so much, but then then the turn card comes and I'm thinking, okay, so he's called my C bet. What
Okay,
do I barrel again?
Pause that for a second. So your thought process there was definitely a bit cluttered, and that's very understandable because you haven't had anyone teach you properly how to think through these things. So in general, just as a general tendency, and this doesn't mean always do it, but in general, you want to be c-betting at quite a high frequency on these stakes. The reason for that is because people on these stakes tend to fold way too much. So when you c-bet, you can, even on this board, you can c-bet just like 4 cents, 5 cents, and you'll be folding out a bunch of suited connectors. Some people on these stakes call like king deuce suited, like they might have like king deuce of spades, might have like pocket pairs that they'll fold, and then you also get a chance to barrel the turn if you choose to. We have a hand that has very good backdoor equity, so we have backdoor straight and backdoor flush draw, and we can definitely get him off. If he calls the flop, we can barrel again and maybe get him off like king jack, king 10, jack 10 kind of hands, maybe a queen X kind of hand, and then we'll probably give up because we don't try and on the river if he calls again, because we never try and bluff people off top pair on micro stakes. But the moral of that hand is that, judging by your thought process, the reason you're not c-betting enough is because you're spending too much energy worrying about the hands that will call you, whereas when you're bluffing, you need to be thinking about which hands you can actually make fold, and choosing a size based on those hands, not based on what might call you. So that's something to really pay attention to, and it will come up again for sure. But next time we look at, I'll see if we can reinforce that.
Okay.
And for people watching, this is specific to 2NL. I'm not giving advice that would be working on 200NL or higher, but specific for 2NL, this is the kind of thought process you want. So hopefully you check the 10. Probably not going to get value from worse. Yeah. So just pause again. Woo.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're betting 4 there, I'm sure it's easy to say looking back, but you're not getting value from anything, and you don't really have anything to protect against either. So unless he does happen to have like king deuce of spades, there's almost nothing that you can protect your hand against. So if you're betting and you're not getting called from worse and you're not protecting from anything, then it's not a good bet. What do you think your reason for betting there was?
Well, I'm looking at it now and like analyzing the hand with you now. Like I look at it and I'm just like kind of wincing a bit.
No, it's super game, man. No, you should have been there for the first few sessions Helena and I had. It was painful, absolutely painful. She was doing it without thinking. Oh my god, that was so brutal. Anyway, so let's skip that. You know now that's not a thing, and it's hard in game, especially when you got 2 tables. Have you tried one tabling?
I was one tabling for a couple of weeks before Christmas, and then as soon as I started back 2 tabling, I kind of like rocketed up, and it was going really well. So maybe I should revert to 1 tabling for a little while during this downswing.
After this session, 1 table, and then we will see how that goes, because I'm going to give you a lot to think about, and it'll be good to focus all of that new cognitive energy into just one thing. All right, with the queens, what's your thought process here?
My thought process is that, well, I'm getting, I'm pretty happy to call this 3-bet. Cold call, button cold calling range is kind of, nines, tens, jacks, kind of like sometimes ace king, ace queen, ace jack suited, and then the guy's three betting range. Socrates' three betting range is pretty much uncapped. Ace queen suited plus kings plus, but I'm pretty happy to call because of course I'm dominating some of that, and my odds to call are pretty good with a strong hand.
Yeah. Okay. So that's definitely a good thought process. In this specific situation, I don't think it's quite correct, but it's for reasons that I wouldn't expect you to know. So just a couple of pointers. The fact that he went quite big, he went 4.2x, generally indicates he doesn't have aces or kings. People really rarely 3-bet aces and kings that big. You correctly analyze what this guy's cold calling range should be, but missing the fact that he's actually playing less than $2. So he's very, very likely a recreational player, which means his cold calling range could be anything. It could be absolutely anything, especially on 2NL. So in this specific situation, I would probably make it like 55 cents. And if this guy shoves, we're just getting it in, like whatever. If he has ace or kings, GG. If he has ace king, which is more likely, then we're in a flip with dead money, which is very good. And he could have jacks and he could fold. And we don't want to shove because we want this guy to call with potentially something as bad as like 8-6 suited, 8-5 suited. You never know what these people are going to be playing. And queens is such a strong hand that we want to try and get value from this hand especially, which is almost 100% of the time going to be weaker than our hand. But in general, you don't want to be getting queens in these two positions in 2NL because people tend not to 3-bet bluff too much.
Right.
As you were. But calling, fine. Alright, so check, pause again. Sorry. So what do you think Sokrat has? He checked very quickly for people that didn't see that. What do you think his range might be?
It's like ace king without a spade, or even ace king,
just ace king. I think you're right. It's probably just ace king or some like completely missed thing like ace deuce of hearts or whatever, you know. So when he snap checks, it's almost never a set. It's almost never ace or king. So we're just gonna say we have the best hand out of him. So when this guy bets half pot, now knowing that he's a fish with a wide range, what do you think his range could be consisting of?
Straight draws, maybe like and queen or 7-8 suited.
Yeah. So in these situations when we're talking about wide ranges, the best way to communicate about them is to kind of clump them together. So you could say something like Broadway straight draws, Jack X, or maybe a flush draw, and maybe something like 9X or pocket tens, you know, something like that. So try not to just list every single one and just clump them together. So against those kind of hands, and obviously he can have a set, technically, but against those kind of hands, it looks like we have the best hands very, very often. So what do you think you would do here now?
Well, if I raise, maybe I fold out some of what I beat, so just flat, maybe.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a consistent thing where when you were bluffing, you were thinking about the hands that beat you, and when you were value betting, you're thinking about the hands that you might make fold. Whereas it needs to be the other way around. When you're bluffing, you need to think about what you can fold out. When you're value betting, you need to be thinking about what you could get called by.
Right.
Here's another generic statement I'm going to make about 2NL players. They really don't like folding top pair. They really hate it. They're not playing 2NL Zoom to fold top pair. It's just not their shtick. So what you can do here is, actually, in my opinion, you can just shove. You could just get it in, look like a weaker hand. Maybe you can make it smaller and make it like 70 cents. Maybe you can min raise. That also could work. So the good thing about shoving is it looks weak to a lot of people. So he might just call off with like a 9. Plus, even if it doesn't look weak to him, he might just call with a 9 because it is just $2. And if the good thing about raising small is he might decide to peel with something really shitty like 5-6, and you get more value from that. So because we have the best hands, you really have to raise. Like when you have a big hand, it's almost always the best hand. You just want to bet big, try and get as much in the middle as possible, and then you're going to be winning way more big pots as opposed to just trying to like keep in parts of their range and letting them get there sometimes, or letting them check behind the turn. It's a very good strategy to bet big, raise big, and when you have like a strong top pair kind of hand or an over pair. So with that in mind, let's see what you did. I assume you call.
Yeah. I remember calling, and I think answering your question, I think I was just trying to like justify my incorrect action a bit, trying to like do myself.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that. The audio went out. You were trying to what, sir?
When I was answering your question, perhaps there was a bit of cognitive dissonance at play where I was trying to justify the call, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. This is one of the downsides of just calling as well, because this is an action killer. Please fold the 10-9. Yeah, if someone raises huge on 2-0, we're generally, not always, there are very specific situations, but we're generally going to give them credit. Because people don't bluff enough.
Yeah.
What a strange bet. Actually feels like he's... I don't know what it feels like. It feels like he's bluffing, to be honest. But I do not blame you if you fold here. Because he could definitely have like ace-x of spades, or he could have ace-jack. I would probably just call him down, but whatevs. Yeah, it's super fine. I'm actually not going to spend any time speaking about that specifically, just because it's so... there's just so many minute and insignificant variables that can go into both sides of the arguments. I got a new trainer today, like a new personal trainer, because I've just moved, and he told me to stop sitting on one leg. He soul read me. He was like he just judged by my posture that I sit on one leg when I play poker. So I gotta stop it. Yeah, fold the queen 9. In general, by the way, we're not 3-bet bluffing too much on 2-0. I don't know if Helena's remembered that. We're playing pretty tight pre-flop.
Yeah, I don't think I do any of that.
You don't 3-bet bluff?
Not pre-flop.
Good. Cool. Alright, let's see a c-bet. Yes. Alright, so actually I won't choose this example. Generally you want to be choosing your c-bet sizes quite carefully. So you can actually see that pretty small here, just because there's so many hands that have absolutely missed. And it doesn't matter too much if he raises, because you can still call a raise. It's not the best example of a hand where we can speak about c-bet sizing, so hope for another one.
Here I was thinking about 3-betting, but I didn't.
Yeah, good. That's good enough to 3-bet. You can 3-bet versus the cutoff just about, and definitely versus the button. But 10s versus there is just a call. When he snap checks back, what do you think his range is?
So no ace-x, Broadway cards, and pocket pairs below, like jack-x.
Yeah, sounds about right. When he bets,
I didn't feel I could start betting when the king came.
Yeah, that's all good. You check fold it.
I think I may have called.
No. The problem is when he doesn't bet the flop, he doesn't have too many bluffs in his range. I actually can't think of almost any. Maybe none, which is unfortunate.
Right.
And even though you said that he doesn't have Jack Ace X in his range, and he did turn up with Ace Jack, that's still super fine. Like, it's just unlikely that he has Ace X, and sometimes people just play weird. So bueno. So pause it. So what you want to be doing now is you want to be deciding whether you're c-betting or checking. What are the merits of checking?
The merits of checking are that we can find out very quickly if he has a king. We won't get raised by if we bet, and we won't have to bet fold. I suppose we can check all because we might still be ahead, because obviously we open pre-flop, so when we check, he had a lot of bluffs because he thinks we've missed completely, so we can check call.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that's the key point that I was hoping you were going to say. So that's good. Again, your thoughts are still kind of cluttered, and the reason that they're cluttered is that you haven't built up the foundation of how you're meant to think about these things. So what you want to be doing is you want to be thinking about your opponent's range. He can have a bunch of hands when he calls out the big blind, so you're not going to waste time listing them all in your head. But you know that a bunch of those hands have missed. He can have 8-7, he can have ace-5, he can have, I don't know, jack-9, he can have so many things that have either completely or pretty much just missed. And all of those hands are going to fold if you bet, whereas they might decide to bluff if you check, for the reason that you said it looks like you're giving up. So the reason that we're checking, and repeat this to yourself next time you're playing a session, the reason that we're checking is to get value from his air. And the reason that we would bet sometimes, if we had like a king here, would be that we want to get value from a 10. Because if we bet a king, he might call 2 streets with a 10. If we have king queen, he might call 3 streets with a weaker king. Or with a flush draw that, he'll call 2 streets. And we can bet really big as well. So we can bet like 8 cents. Then we don't need to worry about his air. But seeing as we have a hand that isn't going to get too much value from too many things, it's actually okay to check and get all of that value from, like, it might just be 1 half pot bet, which isn't that much, but it's a lot more in comparison. Like, if you get half pot bet from all of those air hands in comparison to getting like 2/3 from a bunch of flush draws and stuff, then it's a lot better for this specific situation to check. So remember that instead of letting your thoughts get off in the air, always be thinking, what am I trying to get value from? I have a value hand right now. This is a value hand. What am I trying to get value from, and how do I do that? So you want to try and get value from hands worse than this, so we check. It's that simple. That's all you need to be thinking. I mean, it's not all, but that's the main thought process, that we're gonna build up from that and layer it up as we go.
Okay.
Damn it. So let's pretend, pause for a second. Let's pretend the turn was a 3 or a 7, let's say. Let's say it's a 7 of hearts. What would you do on the 7 of hearts turn after he checks back?
Well, if it was the 7 of hearts, because I've picked up outs, I suppose, if I improve if he has, say, like a stronger 10 or king, but then I can go a little bit with my heart draw.
Just stop for a second. Remember what I said about we have a value hand. What do we want to try and get value from? How do we do that? So answer that. We have a value hand. What do we want to try and get value from?
I want to get value from air by betting small.
That works. What else can we get value from?
We could get value from a draw by betting small.
Yeah. What kind of draws are there?
If there's a 7 of hearts, then there's possibly a straight draw, but also a flush draw.
Yeah. So there's straight draws and there are flush draws. So the 1 card flush draw is very likely in this situation if it's a 7 of hearts. So you could try and get value from the ace of hearts, knowing that our hand is almost always the best hand here because he didn't bet the flop. Means he probably doesn't have a king. We can try and get value from the ace of hearts, the jack of hearts, maybe even the 9 of hearts. And the 8 of hearts, 7 of hearts, all of those are probably call if we bet small. Straight draws, something like 5-6, we actually have in pretty bad shape because he only has 6 outs to improve against us. They would also probably call if we bet small as well. A 7, if the turn's a 7 and his turn's third pair, would probably call if we bet small. And a weaker 10 would definitely call if we bet small. So that's the thought process that I want you to have. We have a value hand. What can we get value from? How do we do that? And the answer, which I think you would get to if you had time to sit and think about it, but I think is that we're bet small. But I think at the moment your thought process is just going in so many different directions to try and get to that same point that you're not in game being able to keep up with your thoughts. So we need to streamline them, make them efficient, and then we can make them more complex afterwards.
Yes.
My voice is getting pretty exhausted. We're 42 minutes in, so we'll do the second one tomorrow if that's cool. If you have time.
Yeah, totally, man. Man, yeah, I'm 100% free.
Yeah, so I think Helena is not, but she hasn't said anything, so we can actually we can just send the recording to her. I don't know, man. So on this river, actually,
you're my coach. You're supposed to be like chiming in.
You're like, go on, you did great there.
I said everything wrong.
No, it's super fun. It's good that you two have been talking about hands, and yeah, I think you did good there. I think 3 is a tiny bit too big. I'll probably go for 2, just because people tend to spaz out when you bet small. Just a little hint there: if you bet small and he raises, that's the spot where you can start calling, because he's not wrapping anything, and people just spaz the fuck out. We called it spaz equity when we used to play when PC wasn't such a big thing. Whoa. And it's such a real thing. If you bet small and then just raise randomly, it's so often a bluff when it's a bad player, because they're like, I don't want to fold to that, but I don't have a hand that can call, so fuck it, he looks weak. Good and boys.
Yeah, I told you BSTI was a thing. He didn't believe me.
Yeah, I had a
joke thing.
There's a really nice BSTI moment in the second video, actually.
Oh, sick. All right, cool. Are we playing?
I think, is that it?
Oh, we made it. Okay. Just what would you do here? Would if he's checked. So what would you do?
Okay, so I opened pre, big blind defended.
Yeah.
So we don't have a value hand.
Yeah.
What can we get? What better hands than ours can we get to fold?
Yeah.
And I don't think we can
hands.
get very many better hands than ours to fold.
Ah, you're wrong. All right, so he can have king X, like king deuce, king queen. He can have ace X, like ace deuce, ace queen. Or he can have something like probably deuces. He can have 4-5, which even though it's not better than us, it has equity against us. So if we can better make it fold, that'd be great. So
Right.
I think your assumption is just wrong there. People tend not to just call down with ace or king high, even though it'd probably be correct. So
Right.
you can get away with probably betting like, I'd say 8 cents here, making sure he's definitely folding that ace high. Just bet big, so he's not just gonna call down ace deuce, and then if he calls, you can give up and take your free turn and river. Well, not free turn. You can take your free river.
Gotcha.
And then also if he calls, then and the turn's like an ace or a king, you can barrel that as well. You can bet that because he probably doesn't have those. So if the turn's a 10, a queen, a 10, a jack, a queen, a king, or an ace, then we can bet very comfortably and make him fold a lot of his range on the turn. So definitely don't be hesitant to c-bet a lot. Generally, c-betting is the correct answer unless you have something like second pair where you have showdown value, because people are just folding way too much. So just remember that as a general rule. Do that a lot, and as a general size, choose half pot unless you have reason, like specifically in this situation where you're like, okay, I think he might call ace high on the flop if I bet half pot, so let's bet big. Let's bet 8, let's bet 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think this has been very good for me to get an idea of how the coaching has gone in the past. I think that Helena, she's been doing a good job in the sense of teaching you a lot of tricks, but I don't think she's been a good player for you, but I don't think she's been a great teacher because she hasn't started at that fundamental level and built up, which is completely understandable. Helena's also very new, but it was an interesting experiment, and please carry on speaking hands as much as you can. But Helena, when you're teaching, make sure that you start at the fundamental layer of thought processes and build up very slowly, and just make sure that the stuff that you're doing is just there's no bullshittery, there's no random thoughts about this, that, or the other. You just need to make sure that you have this down. Think about their range, think about how to exploit that range. Don't worry about what they think you have almost always. Like, obviously if you bet big, they might think you have a strong hand, but you don't need to worry about that too much, because people at 2NL, they're not thinking about your hands, they're thinking about their hand. They're like, oh, I've got top pair, I don't want to fold. You know, it's like, it's not, oh, I think he's 3-bet and his c-bet is, we've got a really strong range. Like, they're not thinking at that level. So don't be scared to just bet huge when you have a big hand. Don't be scared to just c-bet loads when, you know, in almost all situations. And don't overestimate the thought process of your opponents, because they ain't thinking too much. No offense if there are 2NL players out there, I'm sure you watching are the exception to the rule, but the majority of people not thinking too much. Okay, cool. My voice is getting not in a good shape, so I'm gonna stop talking and press stop recording. And yo, guys, if you made it this far in the video, like it. Hey, Helena, tell them to like it.
Don't want to.
Okay, brilliant. I'm sorry that I shouted your teaching. But yeah, honestly, if people genuinely, I'm looking for feedback about this, and I read all the comments. So if you have any feedback, like legitimate feedback, like kind of videos you want to watch, the kind of questions that you have, or the questions you want me to answer about these kind of things, or different things you want to go over specifically, then let me know.